चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत प्रसादा स्वाद्वन्न तृप्तान् हरिभक्त संगान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम्. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 types of delicious food, that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasada, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, Param Pujya Guruji. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Vyasam Vasishthanaptaram Shakti पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैकरूपरूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण जन्मसंसारबन्धनात् विमुच्यते नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे प्रभविष्णवे शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः. राम रामाय शान्तारामाय सद्गुरु रामाय शान्तारामाय दय गुरु रामाय शान्तारामाय जय गुरु रामाय शांतारामाय राम राम. बोलो सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. बोलो राधा रानी अरुणामाई की जय. चरण स्पर्श to Param Pujya Guruji. Charan sparsh to all Devis and Mahatmas. Jai Shri Krishna Guruji.
Jai Shri Krishna Guruji.
Discourse 10. Shri Krishna's departure to Dwaraka. Shaunaka said, having got rid of the ruffians who sought to rob him of his lawful heritage, how did Yudhishthira, the foremost of pious rulers, proceed to rule his kingdom with his younger brothers, and what did he accomplish later, averse as he was to the gratification of his senses? Sutta continued. Having revived the race of Kuru that had been consumed by the fire of internecine feud, even as the wildfire produced by the rubbing of bamboo stems against one another consumes a whole forest of bamboos, and established Yudhishthira on his throne, the Almighty Sri Hari, Sri Krishna, the promoter of the world, rejoiced at heart. Verse number 3. Having shaken off his infatuation by force of the wisdom that had dawned on him, as a result of his hearing the teachings of Bhishma and the exhortation of Lord Achyuta Sri Krishna, Yudhishthira ruled over the whole earth, stretching as far as the ocean, like Indra, the Lord of Paradise, enjoying as he did the protection of Sri Krishna, the invincible Lord, and the loyal submission of his younger brothers. The god of rain poured down copious showers. The earth yielded all that was desired, while cows that had large udders gladly sprinkled the stalls with milk. Rivers, seas, mountains, trees and creepers, and other herbs and plants all bore him abundant products in due season. Verse 6, living beings had no worries or physical ailment or nor afflictions of any kind, whether brought about by a wrathful providence, any fellow being, or by one's own self in the form of bodily or mental suffering at any time whatsoever, so long as Yudhishthira, who regarded none as his enemy, reigned as king.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to do that. The king should always have enemies. And if you don't pursue the enemies, then the king becomes a weak king. Anyway, the strong people are there around him, so he can afford to do that. Yeah, over to you.
Verse 7 to 8. After spending some months After spending some months at Hastinapura for the consolation of his friends and relatives, as well as for the satisfaction of his sister, Subhadra, wife of Arjuna, Sri Hari, Sri Krishna, asked leave of King Yudhishthira to return home, and permitted by him, he embraced him and bowed to him, and embraced or greeted in turn by others, those who were of the same age or younger, mounted his chariot. Verse 9, Subhadra, 9 to 10. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, and Uttara, the daughter of King Virata, and even so Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, the only surviving son of Dhritarashtra, born of a Vaishya wife, Kripacharya, born in the line of sage Gautama, Nakula and Sahadeva, the twin born half brothers of Yudhishthira, Bhimasena and Dhaumya, and Satyavati, Bhishma's stepmother, and other ladies almost fainted with sorrow, unable to bear separation from the Lord who wielded the Sharanga bow. Verse 11, a wise man who has abjured evil company through the fellowship of saints cannot even afford to forego the privilege of listening to his sweet praises being sung by others, having once had the opportunity to hear them.
We can clearly see how they have given full details of each one of them. And can we say that this is all cock and bull story? I mean, the modern mind of people, they don't want to even know. Can you see that the way in which they are saying, uh, that who is who all the time says Gautama in the line of saying Gautama, Nakula Sahadeva. The way in which the details are given, you can't say that it is story, the real one which has happened, and how could they remember is their own magic. You see, all these things. There is no need for us to analyze beyond a point. We have to say that yes, this is the truth. It is not something cock and bull story. The others, yes, your other pictures, I mean, other stories of outsiders, other than these Puranas and other things like that, the others will be cock and bull stories probably. We can say that these are the ones which cannot be challenged at all. You see, challenged at all, no challenging possible at all. Over to you, Janki.
How then could the Pandavas, the sons of Pritha, bear separation from the Lord on whom they had bestowed their mind and heart, having had the privilege not only of seeing him at close quarters, touching his person and conversing him with him, but also of reposing, sitting, and dining with him. Verse 13. Regarding him with unwinking eyes, bound as they were by ties of affection to him, they all hurried to and fro to fetch parting presents for him, their heart running after him. Verse 14. As Sri Krishna, son of Devaki, was about to depart from the palace, the ladies who were bound to him by ties of kinship restrained their tears of affection from trickling down, anxious as they were lest any harm might come to him through such shedding of tears, which is regarded as unpropitious at the time of parting from a beloved friend or relation.
Yeah. You can imagine when someone dear to us, when he leaves, we feel bad about it. But imagine leaving the Lord Himself leaving. How should they feel? See? How should they feel when the Lord Himself leaves? How can they remain there? That's the question. How can they remain? Would they not like to follow Him all the time? No. It is not allowed. But this is the thing. But the memories will be there, and all the thoughts will be there. It becomes it's so easy for him to think of him all the time. These events, and for us also these events. When we keep on reading these things, we not only enjoy, we will uh, we will get immersed into this, and that's the best way to live. End up seeing these cock and bull stories on the TV and anything like that. You know. Don't use the TV at all. Use only this book and do these things. Moment you start using the TV, it becomes a disease. It becomes a disease. We are every one of us caught in that mobile and TV. On the mobile also you will be seeing this same thing, similar thing. So this is a tragedy, say, of the present civilization. You know. Over to you, Janviji.
Yes, Guruji. Verse 15. Tabors, conches, kettle drums, lutes, cymbals, trumpets, dunduris, drums, gongs, and other musical instruments sounded, as also dundubis, another type of big drums, going up to the top of their mansions in order to have a look at Sri Krishna. The ladies of the Kuru race rained flowers on him, greeting him with smiling looks through mingled feeling of affection and bashfulness. Verse 17. The thick haired Arjuna, the favorite of Sri Krishna, held over his most beloved friend his white umbrella, which was bordered with strings of pearls and had a handle of precious stones, while Uddhava and Satyaki held a pair of most wonderful chauris. Greeted with showers of flowers on the way, Sri Krishna, the Lord of the Madhus, shone brilliantly. Verse 19. Everywhere were heard true benedictions pronounced by the Brahmanas, which were unsuited to the Lord as viewed in his unqualified absolute aspect, but were quite appropriate to him in his qualified or personal form. Then began a talk which ravished the ears and hearts of all among the women of Hastinapura, the capital of the Lord of the Kurus, who had riveted their heart on Sri Krishna of excellent renown. Verse 22. Verily, he is the same eternal person who abides in his singular, undifferentiated self, even during the night of universal dissolution, Prior to the manifestation of the three gunas, modes of Prakriti, when the individual souls retire into God, the universal spirit, and when all the forces of creation, the Mahat and its evolutes, too lie dormant in the unmanifest.
Yeah. This one paragraph is as education for us, a reminder for us, you know, reminder constantly. He is the same singular person who abides in this any similar undifferentiated self, even during the night of universal dissolution, prior to the manifestation of the Nirvana modes of Prakriti. And when the individual souls retire into God, the universal spirit, and God, the universal spirit, and when all the forces of creation, the Mahat and its evolutes, too lie dormant in the unmanifested. Yeah. Over to you, Janki ji.
Yes, Guruji. Verse 22. It was he who, with the intention of endowing with a form and name the spirit, who has neither, then inspired his Prakriti, which deludes the Jivas, who are identical in essence with him, and which, impelled by his own energy, the time spirit, is disposed to create and revealed the Vedas and other scriptures.
A constant reminder for us how the Vedas came into being, how all these things have happened. Everything, in such a way that nobody can deny any of these things. Although the foolish people are there, a vast majority of so-called so-called thinkers, and they're thinking, they don't realize their thinking brain is not the correct brain. That thinking will not be of any use when you think of it. So Edison and all the other scientists also did a lot of thinking and came out with something which modern second standard student or KG standard student will be laughing at that. They know much more now than those scientists. In the sense, they are now living in their own inventions and other things like that. And what the scientists thought is their invention was the end of time. No, it is not. A lot of things have changed, and all we are using so many things which the earlier scientists do not even have dreamt of it. So each each decade defeats the inventions of the previous decade, and all the inventions are one side and will be wiped out by death. Wiped out by death immediately. So this is the thing. Yeah. Over to you.
Yes, Guruji. Verse 23. Indeed, he is the same Supreme Spirit whose reality in this world is perceived by seers who have subdued their senses and fully controlled their breath, with a mind yearning for his sight and cleansed of all impurities through devotion. For it is he alone who can thoroughly cleanse our heart, which cannot be so purified by any other means, such as yoga, etc. Verse
Yeah.
20, verse 22. Again, O friend, he is the same Supreme Lord whose sacred stories have been sung again and again in the Vedas and other esoteric scriptures by seers like Maharishi Vyasa, that have expounded profound truths, and who, in his own sportful ways, creates, maintains, and reabsorbs the universe all by himself without any material, and yet does not set attached to the same. Verse 25. Whenever kings whose intellect is clouded by tamas or ignorance live by unrighteousness, verily it is he who, by recourse to the quality of pure sattva or goodness, reveals in himself the divine attributes of omnipotence, etc., as well as truthfulness, righteousness, compassion, and superhuman activity, and assumes various forms from age to age for the good of the world.
Yeah, that's the greatness of the Lord, constantly constantly reminding us how we should be living. And fortunately, He has given it in a big way to us, which we are grateful that we could donate everything free of cost. And the greed of money, greed of wealth, and everything is kept aside. You know, and otherwise, the whole world seems to be full of that thing, the greed. See, the money is one thing which is people find it difficult. Earlier, it used to be gold and everything like that. Now it is all dollars and money and all these things. Whatever the amounts, the number. So this is a shame that we have completely forgotten that these are the things which we need to be upon and given up or not hang on to these things. Knowing fully well, we see people, so many crorpatis and all those things, dying without taking anything, leaving everything here only. Can't we see that? Can't we see that? But we see that and forget it next moment and behave exactly like our what we have been behaving, always trying to give less than more to others. Yeah. In the case of wealth and other things like that, if you want to give or anything precious, you want to give even food, you want to give less to others, see, or which is stale to others and good to ourselves, good to keep it with us. All these all these attitudes show that we have not grown up at all. See, we are still the same person from childhood to now. We are not grown up at all. Over to you, Janaki.
Yes, good. Verse 26. Oh, how supremely praiseworthy is the race of Yadu that has been honored by this supreme person, the Lord of Shri, the goddess of prosperity, through his descent therein. And oh, how supremely sacred is the forest associated with the name of the demon Madhu, the area of Vraja near about the city of Mathura, that has been graced by him through his ramblings.
Yeah. Just I was reminded of someone buying when the satsang started years ago, 20, 25 years ago or more, when satsang started. One of the lady in her house, the satsang was taking place, and she always purchased 20 books or 20 copies of the same book, so that everyone should have one book. She is not asking them to buy the book or bring the book, their own book, nothing of that sort. She buys and keeps it for people to take it like as if you are taking the tea and something. This one. This is something people saw. All the people saw who followed it. There is no second person I have seen. Now it occurred to me Who else has done? Everyone is trying to have the free book. Huh? So now we are giving free all books, everything. Huh? Giving here. After, after this lady has started giving like 20, 20 books, we have started now giving all the books, everything. And they are very happy to receive the books. But along with that, they have a responsibility to live that. So it's not only reading the book. Reading the book can implement the action from that book. And one of the action is this: give unto others. You see what you need to be given, give unto others. Is it? When we are going to learn, people will be still, that is my book and this is your book, like that. And possessiveness. And these are the things. Amount. People have read, something like Bhagavatam, any number of times, 10, 20, 30 times. But as one of the famous Bhagavatar has told to the uh, our uh, this person who asked him to come and do the Bhagavata stories in the village. And then he says 15,000 rupees. I thought you are doing it free in the village, he asked. No, no, sir. We are Duddina Bhagavatar. We are Duddina Bhagavatar. We are not free Bhagavatar. In other words, with all that, your uh, greatness of drama, dramatically, some of them, they're very famous for this. Dramatizing and everyone will be there. For all of them, everyone will be there. But when it comes to giving the anything, they don't give free. Everything is charged. You see? Everything charged. So that clearly shows it is a business now. It is not this one. It's not. Even the listeners are also in a business world only. They don't also follow that example that we have to give free. No. If we give free, they won't read. That's another answer we get. Very wise answer. And it gives a very valid reason for us not to give free. Then why don't you charge double and give? See, look at that. Very difficult for people to live, live giving. Live taking is there, but live giving is not. Over to you, Janki.
Yes, Guruji. Verse 27. Ah, the city of Kushasthali, Dwaraka, overshadows the fame of heaven. Overshadows the fame of heaven and brings merit and renown to the earth by its association. For the people of that city always behold their Lord Sri Krishna, casting his smiling looks on them whenever he graciously moves out of his palace. 28. Surely God Almighty, who is no other than Sri Krishna, must have been thoroughly propitiated in some previous birth through fasts, ablutions in sacred waters, oblations to the sacred fire, etc., by the ladies whose hand has been espoused by him, in that they constantly drink. O friend, the nectar from his lips, the very thought of which maddened the women of Raja. Verse 29. Oh, how blessed are his 8 principal consorts: Rukmini, who gave birth to Pradyumna, Jambavati, the mother of Samba, and Nagnajit, who bore Amba, and so on, who were carried off as prizes of valor at an assembly of suitors after vanquishing powerful princes like Shishupala, the king of the Chedis, and those others who were brought in thousands after slaying the demon Naraka, the son of goddess Earth. Verse 30. These women have brought sanctity to an exalted womanhood which has not been allowed freedom and is wanting in purity, inasmuch as their lotus eyed Lord, who ever delights their heart by his charming behaviors and loving presence, like the celestial tree of Parijata, etc., and never moves out of their mansions even for a moment.
Yeah, today's Brahmins have also, unfortunately, forfeited my sympathies to all the Brahmins. See, we need to love people, and if we keep on saying, don't touch me, don't do this, nothing happens. What is it that, what will happen? If you touch everywhere, the Lord is there. In that touch itself, Lord is there. So you should be, it's not something very dirty or something. By mistake, somebody touches you, or this one, and you wanted to go and take bath. Why do you want to take waste that much of water? Try to think. The Lord is everywhere there. The Vyasa and so many of them are are themselves Shudras and then Sudras. See, for instance, they're all Shudras and they are the ones who are giving the knowledge to the Brahmins. They are the ones who have given the Brahminical knowledge also they have given. That thing. So this is once we understand this Lord is everywhere, then nothing is impure. Everything is pure. And it's cow dung, for instance, is considered to be pure, and that dung is used for cleaning the floor, cleaning everything, and every vessel also. It's a dung but cow, and that cow, modern educated people are, you know, uh, you know, I don't know whether they still eat cow's meat and everything. It's a sad thing to do that. You know, it's a sad civilization. It's a bad one. So in that case, one can eat human being also. Naramamsa, Rakshasas, Raja, Naramamsa. This is the thing that we we need to take the essence of the scripture, not the what is written there, and clearly see that written is for a particular purpose. Yeah, over to you, Janki.
Yes, Guruji. Verse number 31. Yeah, verse number 31. While the women folk of Hastinapura were uttering such words, Sri Hari, Sri Krishna went his way, greeting them by his smiling looks. Verse 32. Apprehending danger from his foes, King Yudhishthira dispatched out of sheer affection an army consisting of all the four limbs, that is, elephants, horses, chariots, and foot soldiers, to serve as an escort for Sri Krishna, the slayer of the demon Madhu. Verse 33. Sri Krishna, this grandson of Shurasena, now sent back the Pandavas, the descendants of Kuru, who, being strongly attached to him, had come very far, distressed at the thought of separation from him. He then departed for his own city Dwaraka with his favorite companions, Uddhava, Satyaki, and others. Verse 34. Passing through the territories of Kurujangala, Panchala, and Shurasena, Mathura, and the tract stretching along the banks of the Yamuna, as well as the Brahmavarta and Kurukshetra, the kingdoms of Matsya and Saraswata, the territory stretching along the banks of the Saraswati, and Marudhanva, the Lord reached the kingdom of Anartha, Gujarat, lying beyond the principalities of Sauvira and Abhira, O Shaunaka, his horses being a bit exhausted by that time. Verse 36. In every part of the country he passed through, the people residing there honored Sri Hari, Sri Krishna, with presents of various kinds. At dusk, he would alight from his car and, repairing to some lake, say his Sandhya prayers. This thus ends the 10th discourse entitled Sri Krishna's Return to Dwaraka, forming part of the story relating to the Naimisha forest in Book 1 of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, otherwise known as the Paramahamsa Samhita.
Yes. You can read the next one, I think. Yeah.
Yes, Guruji. Discourse 11, Right Royal Reception of Sri Krishna at Dwaraka. Suta continued. Reaching his highly prosperous territory of Anartha, Sri Krishna blew his great conch Panchajanya to soothe, as it were, the grief of his people caused by his long absence. Verse 2. Being thus blown, the conch, with its white bulb turned red on account of its contact with the rosy lips of the Almighty Lord, shone resplendent in his lotus palms like a loudly singing swan perched on a pair of red lotuses. Verse 3. Hearing that familiar blast which scared away the terror of the world, the entire population of Dwaraka sallied forth to meet him, longing to see their Lord. Verse 4. They respectfully brought their presents to the Lord, who rejoiced in his own self and was ever perfect in his own inherent bliss, even as one would offer lights to the sun god, the ultimate source of all light. And their countenance beaming with joy, they addressed him, the friend and protector of all, in a voice choked with delight, even as children would speak to their father. O Lord, we have a bow before your lotus feet, adored even by Brahma the creator, Lord Shiva, Brahma's son, and Indra, the ruler of the gods, the supreme resort of those aspiring for the highest bliss, final beatitude, and beyond the realm of Kala, the time spirit, the supreme ruler of all created beings. Verse 7. Be pleased to promote our happiness, O Creator of the universe. For you are our mother and disinterested friend, our Lord and Father. Nay, you are our true preceptor and supreme deity. We've become blessed by serving you. Verse 8. Oh, how fortunate are we in having you as our Lord, since we behold your lovely form, the abode of all charms, and your countenance with its loving smiles and affectionate looks, a rare sight even for the gods residing in heaven. Verse 9. Whenever, O Lord, with lotus eyes, you depart for Hastinapura, the capital of the Kurus, or to Mathura, the capital of the Madhus, to see your friends and relations, every moment that passes without you appears to us as long as a myriad years, and we feel as miserable as eyes without the sun, O Achyuta. Verse 10. Hearing the words of praise uttered by the people of Dwaraka, the Lord, who is so fond of his devotees, entered the city, extending his grace to all through his looks.
Yeah.
Verse 11. Even as the city of Bhogavati, the capital of the region of Patala, is guarded by the Nagas, a race of serpents that are capable of assuming any shape they like, the city of Dwaraka was protected by the Madhus, the Bhojas, the Dasharas, the Arhas, the Kukuras, and the Andhakas, and the Vrishnis, branches of the Yadava race, who were their own equals in strength, who were equaled by none. Verse 12. It was adorned with lotus lakes that were surrounded by orchards, gardens, and parks full of sacred trees and arbors, rich in all the products of every season. Verse 13. The gates of the city and the palaces, as well as the thoroughfares, were adorned with festoons as a mark of festivity. The city was further decorated with flags and banners of various shapes and designs, the fluttering ends of which intercepted the sun here and there. Verse 14. Its highways, streets, bazaars, and quadrangles had been thoroughly cleaned and sprinkled with scented water, and were strewn with fruits, flowers, unbroken rice, and sprouts that had been rained on the Lord as something auspicious. Verse 15. The entrance of every house in the city was adorned with curds, unbroken rice, fruits and sugar cane, pitchers full of water, offering incense and lights. Verse 16 to 17. The noble minded Vasudeva, Sri Krishna's father, and Akrura, Vasudeva's cousin, and King Ugrasena, Sri Krishna's maternal granduncle, and Sri Rama, Balarama, Sri Krishna's elder brother of marvelous prowess, and Pradyumna and Charudeshna, Rukmini's sons, and Shamba, Jambavati's son, in transport of joy, quitted their beds and seats and even meals on hearing of the return of their most beloved Sri Krishna. Excited with emotion and full of joy and esteem, they placed a lordly elephant at their head to serve as a good omen, and accompanied with Brahmanas reciting benedictory hymns and equipped with articles of good omen, they mounted their chariots and sallied forth to meet the Lord amidst the blast of conches and trumpets and the chanting of Vedic hymns. Verse 19. The chief among the courtesans, whose faces looked very charming with their cheeks irradiated by splendid earrings, proceeded in their hundreds in palanquins, eager to have a look at him. Even so, actors, dancers, and songsters, as well as panegyrists, bards, and minstrels, glorified the wonderful exploits of the Lord of excellent renown. Verse 21. The Lord on that occasion met his kinsmen and attendants as well as the citizens in the appropriate manner and showed his consideration to all, gratifying them all down to the pariah by bowing down his head, greeting in respectful terms, clasping to the bosom, pressing the hand off, and greeting with smiles and endearing looks, and granting them boons of their choice, and himself blessed by his elders, the Brahmanas and their wives, the aged folk and others, including the panegyrists. The Almighty Lord entered the city.
Yeah.
Verse number 24. As Sri Krishna was passing along the main road, the women of respectful families of Dwaraka went up to the top of their mansions, O Shaunaka, to enjoy the grand feast of his sight. Verse 25 to 26. The bosom of Lord Achyuta, Sri Krishna, is the abode of Shri, the goddess of prosperity. His countenance, a cup of nectar for all eyes to drink from. His arms, the habitat of the guardians of the different worlds, whoever reside in them. His lotus like feet, the home of the bee like devotees. Nay, each of his limbs is an embodiment of elegance. That is why the eyes of the residents of Dwaraka know knew no satiety, even though they beheld him every day.
Yeah.
Verse 27, with the white umbrella spread over his head, and a pair of chowries waving on both sides, and flowers raining all round. The Lord, who was clad in yellow robes and adorned with his garland of sylvan flowers, shone on the road like a cloud with the sun shining overhead, a pair of moons moving in a circle about it, stars scattered all round, and a rainbow and flashes of lightning illumining it. First of all, he entered the palace of his parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, and gladly bowed his head to all his seven mothers, Devaki and others, who in their turn clasped him to their bosom. Verse 29. As they placed their son in their lap, milk flowed from their breasts, even in their old age, due to their affection for him. And beside themselves with joy, they bathed him in tears. Verse 30. He next entered his own palace, unsurpassed by other, any other, which was equipped with all that could be desired and had a separate mansion for each of his consorts, 16,000 and odd in number. The ladies felt overjoyed at heart to behold from a distance their lord, who had returned home after a long absence, and with bashful eyes and faces, they quickly abandoned their seats as well as their thought of him, not now that he was present before them in person, as also the vows of austerity that they had taken during the absence of their Lord.
Yeah.
Verse 32. Full of infinite love, they embraced their Lord first mentally, then by their sight, and lastly by their body, as well through their babes, under the pretext of offering the babes for his embrace, or in the person of the babes themselves, according to the maxim that it is the Father himself who is born in the shape of his Son. Atma vai jayate putraha. The tears which they had kept so far kept with the tears which they had so far kept within the corners of their eyes, out of their bashful nature, now trickled down in spite of themselves, O Shaunaka, foremost of the Brigus, since they could no longer control their emotion. Verse 33. Although he ever remained by their side, and that too in their private chamber, his feet appeared to them as full of fresher charm every moment. What woman would cease to love those feet, which even Shri, the goddess of fortune, cannot abandon even for a moment, though noted for her fickleness?
Yeah.
Verse 34. Even as the wind burns a whole thicket of bamboos by producing fire through the abrasion of one bamboo against another, so did Sri Krishna work the mutual destruction in the shape of the Mahabharata war of princes who had proved a burden to the earth since their very birth and grown very powerful in the meantime by pitting one against another, and in a like manner brought about the extermination of their hosts as well, himself adhering to his vow of not taking up arms, and, having thus accomplished the object of his descent on earth, he became silent. Verse 35. It was the same Lord who, having appeared in this mortal world in his own playful way, sported in the midst of thousands of most charming women like a worldly man, stung by their guileless and winsome smiles and bashful looks that bespoke their profound love. Even Cupid, the conqueror of the world, fainted and dropped his bow. These jewels among women, however, could not disturb the serenity of his mind by their amorous gestures. Verse 37. Finding him actively engaged like themselves, the people, ignorant as they are, look upon him who is absolutely unattached as a human being full of attachment. Verse 38. Herein lies the divinity of the Almighty Lord, that even though abiding in Prakriti or matter, he never gets tainted by the gunas or modes of Prakriti, just as a mind that has taken refuge in him is never contaminated by the gunas of Prakriti abiding in it. Verse 39. Nay, those ignorant ladies, Sri Krishna's consorts themselves, little knowing his greatness, looked upon him as a hen-pecked husband, devoted to their service in the private chamber, even as the notions of aham or I-ness conceive of God as sharing their own characteristics. Thus ends the 11th discourse entitled The Entry of Sri Krishna into Dwaraka, forming part of the story relating to the Naimisha forest in Book 1 of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, otherwise known as the Paramahamsa Samhita.
Very difficult to, uh, very enjoyable, and also difficult at the same time. We can get immersed into that. How he takes care of every wife, every lady, every children in each place, 16,000 or whatever number was there. And apart from that, the other 9 or 10 others were there, the first ones, you know, and the chief also, Rukmini. So many are there, and of course he takes so many forms and goes everywhere. He's there everywhere. And even with all those things also, we can clearly see we have an education there. In the sense, we have to love all the people. You know, we have to love all the people. If it is one person also, you have to, whoever is there, the wife as well as the their relatives need to be, everyone need to be respected. Every human being need to be respected and loved. And then it looks as if none of these people will make any mistakes at all because the Lord Himself is there. Not that they want to make any mistake, but no mistakes can take place. Other than rare person like Shishupala and everything like that. Otherwise, there is no difference at all. Everyone enjoyed the company of him, and it became it became sort of it is difficult to say that they did not get the moksha and everything. They are made for moksha. All the wives and all those who are with Krishna and all those who were who were there any time at those times. Everyone got moksha only. Very difficult to say that they didn't get it because one look at him, one look at him is enough to send us to moksha. See, that's the greatest achievement of anyone. Or hearing, even the story hearing itself is is sending us to mukti. See, because this is the most important thing. See, although it looks like 16,000 wives, this, that, and everything, the most important thing is Lord Krishna is there everywhere. So that is the most important thing. And we have to keep our brains a little calm and not think simple, think simple instead of think complicated. Live simple. like the ignorant child always speak simple things. Exactly like that we need to be. All our questions have no meaning. Okay. It will only come out of ahankara, ambhava, aham. That's it. Any question you ask about these scriptures, then it will show that you have not understood, or the person has not understood clearly. This is the thing. Over to you, Janki ji.
Koti Koti pranams to you, Param Pujya Guruji, Devis and Mahatmas. Let us read these again and come back for more. We'll go to Kritagnyata Prarthana now.
प्रार्थना करते हैं देश और धर्म के लिए, प्रार्थना करते हैं भारत की स्त्रियों के लिए और उनके विकास के लिए, प्रार्थना करते हैं हमारे अन्नदाता किसानों के लिए तथा उन सभी के लिए जिनके श्रम से हमारे पात्र में प्रसाद आता है। ये प्रसाद जो हमें 3 से 5 बार मिलता है, भूख हो न हो तो भी मिल जाता है, इससे हमारा बौद्धिक, शारीरिक और मानसिक पोषण हो। हम निरहंकारी बने, दूसरों के बारे में सोचें और हमारे में क्षमा भाव जगे। इसी के साथ प्रार्थना करते हैं भारत के तथा विश्व भर में कई ऐसे लोगों के लिए जिनको शायद 2 वक्त का प्रसाद मिले न मिले पता नहीं होता। उनकी सारी आवश्यकताओं की पूर्ति हो, उनका विकास हो और उनके विकास से देश और विश्व का विकास हो। प्रार्थना करते हैं भारत के 17 से 21 वर्ष की आयु के सभी युवक और युवतियों के लिए नीति द्वारा यह अनिवार्य किया जाए कि उनको सेना में प्रशिक्षण मिले, जिससे कि वो अच्छे नागरिक बने। प्रार्थना करते हैं भारत के सेना बल के लिए सीमाएं बंद हो, घुसपैठ न हो, आतंकवाद न हो और हमारे जवानों के प्राण व्यर्थ में न जाएं। उनका आर्थिक और पारिवारिक जीवन हर्ष, उल्लास और विकास से भरपूर रहे। प्रार्थना करते हैं हमारे पुलिस बल के लिए नीति द्वारा उनके वेतन 10 गुना बढ़ाए जाए, उनकी जैविक अवस्था में सुधार लाया जाए, उनकी क्षमताओं में बढ़ोतरी लाई जाए और वो सदैव न्याय और धर्म का संस्थापन करते रहें। प्रार्थना करते हैं हमारे परम पूज्य गुरुजी द्वारा संकल्पित सारे कार्यों के लिए। ये सारे ही संकल्प जैसे निवृत्ति, गुरुकुल, गीता वितरण इत्यादि का उद्देश्य है भारत के कई करोड़ों अच्छे गरीबों को लाभ पहुंचाना। ये सारे ही संकल्प बड़े से बड़े पैमाने पर साकार हो और इसका लाभ देश के कोने कोने तक पहुंचे। प्रार्थना करते हैं कि इस देश के शासक इस देश को उसकी खोई हुई संस्कृति की ओर ले जा सके। प्रार्थना करते हैं कि इस देश के हर जिले में कम से कम 2001 एकड़ के फैलाव वाले महाजलाशय बनाए जाए, जिससे कि वहां भरपूर जल रहे। प्रार्थना करते हैं कि इस देश के हर जिले में कम से कम 200 सौर शक्ति से संचालित ट्रामें चलाई जाए। इनके माध्यम से हर एक गांव को जिला मुख्यालय से जोड़ा जाए, जिससे कि यातायात में सुविधा हो, पर्यावरण भी स्वच्छ रहे और व्यय भी कम हो। प्रार्थना करते हैं कि ईश्वर हमारे परम पूज्य गुरुजी को 120 वर्ष का स्वास्थ्य से परिपूर्ण आयुष दें और गुरुजी सदैव हमारा मार्गदर्शन करते रहें। प्रार्थना करते हैं कि ईश्वर सभी सत्संगियों को, सभी विभूतियों को और उनके परिवारजनों को स्वास्थ्य से परिपूर्ण लंबी आयुष दे और सभी गुरुजी द्वारा दिखाए गए पथ पर चलें। सारा श्रेय गुरुजी को जाता है। आज का जो भी पुण्य है उनके श्री चरणों में समर्पित करते हुए देश और धर्म के लिए प्रार्थना करते हैं। तथास्तु, तथास्तु, तथास्तु।
प्रार्थना करते हैं देश के प्रत्येक विद्यालयों एवं संस्थानों में दिन में 3 बार संपूर्ण वंदे मातरम गाया जाए, जिससे कि नागरिकों में देशभक्ति की भावना जागृत हो। तथास्तु। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। वंदे मातरम। भारत माता की जय। जय